Chief Mitch Randles came to the Temple Fire and Rescue in August of 2014 after retiring with 23 years of service with the Joplin, Missouri Fire Department. He has been in the public safety field for over 28 years and has served as a firefighter, paramedic, and law enforcement officer. His education includes an MBA, BSBA in management, AA in fire science, and is a graduate of the National Fire Academy Executive Fire Officers Program and holds a Chief Fire Officer designation. Chief Randles is married to his wife of 27 years, Susan, and has 2 children, Sabrina, 19, who is a student at Temple College, and Kevin, who is 22 and lives in Mississippi with his wife, Rachel. So with that intro, again, Chief, welcome to the show. It's always a pleasure to get to meet people of prominence in the area who hold an important position. And what I do with all my guests, Chief, I always write down a set of questions because I never want to put anybody in the hot seat. I want you to get the opportunity to give a good, thorough answer. So what I'm going to do, I sent you some questions, and we're just going to read them one through however many I've got. Sure. And feel free to make any comments, stop me, shut me up, say, oh, no, that's not right, okay? So with that, let's go on. Chief, question number 1. I personally don't think the majority of the people realize how important a fire chief is. They always hear about the police chief because of all the crazy stuff going on in society lately. So with this opportunity, can you please explain why the position of fire chief is so important and what are the duties and responsibilities of a fire chief?
Well, sure. My primary duty is to make sure that the citizens of Temple are protected. And where I differ from the police chief is, we're protecting them from fire, medical emergencies, traumatic emergencies such as car wrecks and what have you, and just basically everything that law enforcement or one of the other departments in the city can't handle. That kind of falls into our privy, and we do hazardous materials and trench collapse, and here lately a lot of swiftwater rescue and flood rescue, and so just any of those things that there's not another specialty for out there, that kind of falls to the fire department.
I was going to say that. I was going to ask you a funny question in the sense of sarcastic question being, with all this water, do you have to worry about fire anymore? Well, no, not really. You got all these different things you have to worry about with water rescues. What about saving kittens from trees?
That's one of those things that comes up from time to time. We actually don't routinely rescue cats from trees.
But would you if you had to?
I will tell you, over my course of my career, I've done about 6 cats from trees.
You heard it here, everybody. You heard it here.
But normally the cats will come down on their own, and normally getting us involved just makes the matter worse for the cat. So.
Okay, got you. So don't call them up for a cat rescue. The cat will come down on their own. All right. Chief, because time is limited, I'm going to move on. Number 2, there are many things to consider when it comes to fire safety that people could unintentionally overlook. In your opinion or factual data, what is the most overlooked safety precaution when it comes to fire safety or prevention?
Well, I think one of the things I want to mention, especially since today is fallback day, and so we're supposed to turn our clocks back, is smoke detectors. Obviously, today is the day you need to change your smoke detector battery so that it is fully functional. They silently set on your wall or ceiling and guard your family. And so it's very important to have them in operational order, and that is very simple to do, and that is just to replace the battery, either AA or AAA or 9-volt, and put a fresh one in there for the next 6 months or so while we're not in daylight savings time. And I think probably the other thing is just the fact that folks don't realize that an emergency will strike them at some point in time in their life. Statistically, everyone has a major event, some sort of a major event that the fire department gets involved in at least once or twice in their lives, and I don't think many people realize that. It's always the thought of, well, that's not going to happen to me, it's going to happen to someone else, and I'm here to tell you that that's not always the case.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard from the chief. That's why we put him in the PEP section, not the topic of interest section. PEP, practice or preparedness eliminates panic. Now, Chief, number 3, since you said smoke alarms, we should mention that this year's theme is hear the beep where you sleep. Since about half of the deaths from home fires happen between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when most people sleep, smoke alarms then become extremely important. Can you tell us all we need to know about the care and installation of smoke alarms? Now, you mentioned a part of it. Is there anything else when it comes to equipment like fire extinguishers, etc.?
Sure. With the smoke alarms, make sure your smoke alarm's not older than 10 years old. And if you open it up, there should be a date on it and look at it. And it should never be more than 10 years old. If it is, then you need to get a new one. And if you don't have the means to get a new one, contact us down at Temple Fire Department, and we will get you one. They are that important.
Wow, that's great to know. So seriously here, if somebody is truly not able to purchase one, how do you tell somebody who's trying to scarf one up for free as compared to somebody who's really desperately in need one?
Well, I mean, most folks are honest about it, and if they are in need, we'll come in, and we're not going to turn anyone away. But if you come in and ask for 20 smoke detectors, obviously you're not going to get 20 smoke detectors from us. So it's very, very important that you put one in your home. But if you're a landlord or something along those lines, you can't get them from us to put in every one of your apartments. You should take you should go out and purchase the ones for
if they're a landowner or a property owner for an apartment complex, they should be having a cash cow with money coming in. They should be able to afford their own. Okay, Chief, let's talk about cooking in general and about the upcoming holidays when it comes to cooking. What are the concerns and dangers when it comes to cooking?
Sure. Obviously, one of the things that always comes up every year is deep frying turkeys.
Yes,
that's a pretty popular thing to do, and it can be safe, but you definitely have to follow the instructions when you do that. That turkey needs to be as dry as possible, because anytime you put water in the grease, you get a reaction from it, and so
that is key, man. Yeah, that's big time.
Next, you do not want to overfill your fryer, obviously. You don't want to have your fryer out on a wooden deck or right next to your home. You want to put it out in your middle of your yard and on a non-flammable surface like a concrete patio or something, and then lower it in slowly, obviously. And then just in your normal kitchen and other cooking as the holidays come about, just be mindful of where you put down your towels and your rags, and always be in attendance. Don't put something on to cook and then leave the room or leave the house for photos or something like that. If you're going to have to leave and not be watching the cooking that's going on, then wait until you're done before you start cooking.
Chief, what's the deal with the turkeys? I mean, is that a Texas thing or is that all over? I'm ignorant to this. It's a Texas thing.
No. It's all over. They happen all over the United States. We had some of these fires up in Missouri, where I'm from, and so it's pretty much nationwide.
Okay. All right. This one's for the children, Chief. Who is Sparky, and what is Sparky's job when it comes to fire prevention?
Well, Sparky is one of the dogs or the mascots of the National Fire Protection Association, and we actually happen to have our own Sparky here in Temple. He makes several of our fire prevention activities throughout the year, including our big Fire Safety Day, which happened back on October 3rd. And his purpose in the message is to get kids more comfortable with firefighters and the fire equipment. A lot of times, we're pretty scary to kids because we're big and we're loud in everything we do, and so it's to give that kind of softer side of the fire service and relax the kids around that dog and that mascot.
So you're going to the schools with Sparky, or they're coming to the firehouse?
Sure, both. He's been to both. He does stuff around the firehouse, and then he also goes to schools from time to time. So
I think that would be pretty good to get them accustomed to it before it ever happens. Okay, what about Halloween? Today's Halloween. Adults and children in costumes, candles and fireplaces all around. What does one do if one of those costumes accidentally catches fire because of either the wood stove or the cooking on the stove or whatever? What do you do?
Well, hopefully everybody's aware of this one, and that is stop, drop, and roll, as we were taught as kids, and as we still teach kids. If you do have a costume that catches on fire, stop where you are, drop to the ground, and roll until that fire's put out. Once you've got that fire out, then get that costume off. It could still be smoldering, and you don't want to run the risk of it reigniting. So, get out of that thing.
Especially with these ones, synthetic type of costumes, they just melt right on you, right?
Absolutely. And they're all marked and they're all treated with a fire-resistant process. But remember, it's fire-resistant. Nothing is truly fireproof. Everything will burn. And even fire-resistant treated items will burn, just not as readily as they would if they weren't treated.
There's a lot of things to think about, everybody, so this is great we got him on here. Chief, on this one, all I'm going to say is live Christmas trees. Any comments?
Well, I'm as big a fan of a live Christmas tree as anybody else, but they are extremely dangerous if not properly cared for.
I'm surprised they even let them do it, as dangerous as they are. I mean, I like them too, but
sure. There's nothing like having a live Christmas tree in your home. If you're going to go that route, obviously the best thing to do is get one that you can replant out in your yard and basically recycle it, if you will. So an actual real live one with the root ball and everything, and
that would prevent it from drying out.
That would definitely help, and it'll come wrapped in burlap and what have you, and you can keep that damp. And again, once Christmas is over, you can put that out in your yard and plant it, and live that memory every day from now on. But if you choose a pre-cut, it's very important that when you get that tree home to get it in water and get it soaking up water. It is incredible the amount of water those things will soak up once you put them in a water bucket or in a source where they can get water, and that is gallons a day of water. If you do not keep your tree very moist, it will dry out very quickly, and those pine needles will burn almost like gasoline. They will burn extremely quick, and will definitely catch your house on fire if something would go wrong.
Does a Christmas light have the capability of doing anything if it's sitting there long enough?
Normally the light will not, and in particular the LEDs. The LEDs are great because they are such low amperage and such they burn so cool compared to the old incandescent lights. But a short in one of those lines, and a lot of those cords are very lightweight. They're made for just temporary use, and so one of those cords is very easy to get frayed, and so that fray could short and cause a fire.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to the next one. Chief, does the fire department have any special learning programs for children? If so, please explain.
Sure. We go into all of the schools that are in the city of Temple. That includes both TISD and BISD schools, and do fire programs every month of the year. I've got 2 fire training specialists. One is Thomas Peckhall that you've talked with on several occasions, and I think everybody in Temple and Belton knows Thomas. And then our newest addition to that group is Buzzy Gover, or the former Coach Gover, or Coach Buzz. They both get out and do not only fire safety topics and talks, but life safety topics having to do with riding your bike or car seats or the dangers of drinking and driving and all of the other things that we encounter throughout our lives. And we try to hit those at those special times of the year. So, we'll do pool safety as it starts to get warmer, and bicycle safety. And, the recent message, of course, has been trick-or-treating safety, and fire safety. So we have a program that lasts year-round in the schools.
Very good. Okay, Chief, now, you've got some explaining to do on this one here. I saw a picture of one of your firefighters wearing, let's say, a bra. Okay, What gives on that? Here's the picture right here. It looks kind of good there, though. But what's the deal?
Well, I guess the good thing here is it's not actually one of mine, but it is one of our neighboring departments. And what that was a benefit to benefit breast cancer. As you may or may not know, most departments nationwide has adopted breast cancer awareness as one of our charitable things that we do to go along with MDA and some of the other charitable functions that the firefighters do. Obviously, we all have wives and daughters, and it's something that we all worry about for them. And also, one of the things that I don't think most folks realize is that men are just as susceptible to get breast cancer as women are. It's just not as well known of a problem. So, we're all very cognizant of that, and so we do want to bring awareness to that. And that's what that actually was. There was a decorated bra that they were trying to auction off, and he was doing a very good job of trying to boost the cost there. And if I remember right from the article I read on it, I think he actually got the highest amount for the bra.
I think that's correct too. Yeah, he's totally motivated. That's great. Okay, we're short on time here, so let me ask you this final question, Chief. How do volunteer firefighters fit in when it comes to firefighting and rescue? I mean, how does that work when you say employed firefighter as compared to a volunteer one?
Well, in Temple, everybody's a career firefighter, so everybody's a paid firefighter. That's what they do for their profession, and that's what their job is. Volunteer firefighters, however, are extraordinarily important to the United States and to Texas. Over 80% of the firefighters in the country are volunteer. They get no pay, no compensation for their response or their training. And so the volunteer fire service is very important, in particular in the rural areas where the tax base just doesn't exist to support a full-time fire department, because firefighting is expensive. It's something that costs a lot of money, both to purchase the equipment, to train the firefighters, to have them employed. It's incredible. Just expensive.
It's incredible too, because you get a cop on the beat, and somebody's shooting at him. He pulls out his gun and shoots back. You guys, you go to a place that people are running out of and run into it with axes. You know, I just don't get it, but that's cool. And I thank you guys very much for the courage to do that. Chief, we're out of time. But It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on, answering all these questions. I'm sure a lot of people didn't realize a lot of stuff that you talked about. And I didn't get to the helmet, but we'll have to do it another time.